Hello, everybody, and welcome to Accelerate Productivity, Reduce Turnover, and How to Conduct Stay Interviews training and webinar sponsored by People First Companies. I'm Mike Bays, and I'm actually the co-founder and Chief Operating Officer of People First Companies. A little bit about my background. I've been an entrepreneur in the Colorado area for over 35 years. I've been part of 3 companies as a partner or owner with employees of as many as 600 at one point. I've been conducting and producing a type of stay interview process for 30 years on and off, so I'm very familiar with it. And I'm also very familiar with the benefits of doing those. So I really appreciate you guys joining me today, and we will record this and have it available. I should mention that basically our goal today is to have you comfortable producing your own stay interview program. I need to mention that you do need to take notes. I won't be sending anything out. The slides won't be sent out. However, if you are a People First Company member, and I'll show you how to do that if you want at the end of this, then this is all available in your documents file, which is in your dashboard. So you have the training, the slides, and additional information. Like all People First Silver Gold members, you have lots of resources available to you in your dashboard. So don't worry, I'm not going to walk through this agenda with you, but I just wanted to kind of show you what we will talk about. And again, I'm giving you a little bit of time to get a pen and pencil or open up your word processing. You may already do employee interviews, employee reviews. What a stay interview kind of is a company review by your employees. The things that happen, it's basically an informal conversation with a group of employees or employee aimed at discovering what they like about their role, what they would like to change about their role or their company, and any other relevant feedback about the company. Believe me, you will get some if you're doing this right. Stay interviews are an opportunity to both uncover what motivates and frustrates your employees and to build trust with them as a manager or a leadership team. And you know what that means is when you engage your employees in this type of activity, asking them their opinions, finding out what frustrates them, finding out what they do differently, and then acting on that, you go a long way in building trust and loyalty with your group. Generally, it consists of a series of predetermined questions. This is kind of essential, and I'll walk you through that. But you need to determine what 4, 5, 7, 8 questions you're going to ask during every interview and in what form that question is going to take place. Generally, you want to do these every quarter or every year, but you definitely want a consistent program of stay interviews, not performance reviews, but stay interviews. And they can be very casual too. They can be done by your managers, by your senior leadership. There's also some value in having a specialized external organization do your stay interviews because that becomes more confidential. And sometimes if you're having big issues, you might get more out of the stay interview process if they think it's confidential or if it is confidential to them. And I can explain how we do that. But if you're doing it internally, generally, if it's by the first level manager, it needs to be very informal, just a touch base and often. But if it's senior leadership or HR, that's fine too. You basically want to do these over a short period of time. Let's say you're doing 20 employees or 10. You want to get that done in a week or two because you get more consistent feedback and a better window of time of what's happening. And you can do better action items from that. So why should you do it? Well, besides the obvious, you're going to increase your retention. That's huge. I mean, I have worked with many companies with high attrition, and it's a killer. It kills profits, morale. Anyway, getting people to stay and be happy and productive is huge. I can't imagine a better investment than a stay interview. It reduces your attrition, increases your bottom line, all these good things. These are obvious. But besides the obvious, I think what I've seen is it makes your employees feel very much so involved and listened to. And that's huge. So let me give you 2 examples of stay interviews I've done recently and why it was so important. One of those was with a large residential construction company. They were having a 75 to 80% annual turnover in a certain management role, the project management role, which is the key role. That's huge. So we met with the management, went through their issues, what they thought they were, what they're doing about it. Put together a lot of good questions, and we set up the interviews. And what we found is that unlike what the senior management probably expected, the compensation was considered okay. It didn't come up as an issue. Benefits, however, did come up as an issue. A lot of them, the spouses or loved ones weren't really happy with the benefits. The workload was a major issue, major. They thought their workload was ridiculous. One of them actually, I would quote and say, every day feels like he will be quitting because of it. And a key person. The training reviews were kind of mixed. Training is a tough question because in some roles, companies hire people who already feel like they know how to do the job. They've been doing it somewhere for a long time, so they don't feel, if they're trained, they feel like they're being overtrained. But in general, it was a mixed review, which was not a surprise. Communication was considered really good from the senior management and really poor from their immediate boss. I don't think they would have gotten that feedback from a internal employee because this was confidential. And then the major finding in this particular one was this group of employees was being hounded and pounded by headhunters. Every couple of weeks, they were getting a call telling them they could make more money and have better benefits and work less and all those things that headhunters do to ruin your life as an owner of a company. And it was just getting to them. And we felt that was probably the major cause of their turnover, along with other things. But basically, they had to address the issue. So when a headhunter called, they weren't as likely to take those jobs. But it was killing them. It seriously was. So we went back to senior management. We put together all the findings, talked to it. What we did and what they did, the senior management, to address the issues. And this is important. You can't do a stay interview without responding to it if you have issues. Otherwise, it makes things worse. But they actually reviewed their entire compensation schedule and added bonuses for profit. So they shared the profit with their employees, and that was important. They hired additional staff to take the workload down to a reasonable level. Honestly, it took probably a quarter to get to that because you had to train your staff or to get there. But they did, and they also communicated their plan to their employees. So the ones who were like, just treading water knew that help was on its way. They addressed the benefits issue, which there's not a lot you can do sometimes, but they did the best they could. And as I said, they revamped their compensation. Their turnover since these changes and since they've communicated and since they have dedicated their company to be kind of a people communicator, a people first type company, is they've had zero turnover in, I'd have to add up the months, 7 months, which is a first for them at that level, probably in 5 years. So it's working. It's hard work, but it's working. The second quick example is a painting company, and they're a residential painter. I'm using construction companies because a lot of the folks we're talking to right now are in construction, but if you're not, it still applies. This particular painting company is a good painting company. You'd know them if you're in the Colorado area, but this is before they were huge. And I did stay interviews with their sales staff because he wasn't really having any internal issues. And I'll be honest, I spoke to, I've forgotten, 8, 10 sales reps, and I was really getting a little bit, I was happy but concerned because I couldn't find anything. I finally saw one consistent thing. We asked them if they're, what's the one thing that stops you from closing an account? And 80% of them said the deposit that we have to get before we paint the house. They were asking for a $500 deposit before the house was painted. So I went to the ownership. The owner, actually, in that case, said, why don't you drop that deposit? run a pro forma, see what happens. I said, why do you even do it? He said, for cash flow. So I said, run it without the deposit with a 50% increase in sales. He did. He dropped the deposit the next week. Their sales virtually doubled based on that. So that stay interview brought in seriously millions of new dollars with that one change. So those are just the benefits I've seen in a couple. And I can tell you, you will find amazing information from it, generally. The process itself, now this is kind of from the People First Company Stay Interview Playbook. So when we do this for a client, the first thing that's got to happen is you got to have a planning session with your management. And you want to determine, what are we going to focus on? What's our issue? Is it attrition? Is it sales? What questions do we want to ask? And you want to decide, we'll talk about questions. Then you actually have to schedule and do the interviews, figure about 25, 30 minutes. Some will be 45. At the end of that, obviously, you need to well document the answers. And then you need a cumulative report saying, okay, in the area of communication, X out of X decided we're good communicators. We didn't see any major issues, etc. each area. And then, a final meeting is held where basically you can decide what to do with the issues that came up. And chances are you're going to find a few issues if you've dug deep enough. And you want to respond back to your employees at what you're doing about that. So those are the 4 main components. When you're talking about what to discuss, again, if you can make them confidential, that's great, even with HR. We never say anonymous anymore because it really can't be, but confidential is fine. I will tell you, these are all the areas. You should just take notes on them or think through your own. But the number one question that I think I've found in a lot of interviews is, what's your greatest frustration in doing your job? If you just asked one question in a stay interview, it would be, what's your greatest frustration in doing your job? Because out of that answer, there probably will follow a discussion, but you will find the major issues you need to address for that employee or for your company. But the other things that can be addressed in the sales capacity, if you're doing a sales stay interview, is, how's our pricing? How are we against the competition? How does our product compete against the products that you compete against? And if your closing percentage is 30%, how do we get it to 50? A good question in there is, hey, if you were the head of sales, what would you do different? Job tools and job satisfaction. Training is always something that's good to talk about. Career goals is something a lot of people miss. You should talk about, do you see a career path? What is your career path? Should we talk more about that as a company? And, a really good question is, do you understand your job requirements and description? Because if you don't have one, or they don't have one, you're set up for failure. Huge, huge question. Do you feel respected and part of the team? You can get this without asking that question. It's like, how do you, how's your team operate? Do you feel like you're communicating well with them? Do you feel like your ideas are listened to? You also want to ask about, how do you think the communication is with you from your senior management, general managers, etc. A couple, levels above or one. And do they feel like they understand where the company's going and what the goals and directions are? So those are all areas that you can turn into questions. You should have pre-written questions. But I should also say, during a stay interview, feel free to wander, because when you wander is when you get some of the best information. The entire process looks like this, and I won't bore you with it, but the senior management planning meeting is huge. That's where you determine your questions and your goals. These 2 boxes, the senior management planning and the questions are developed, which is row 1, number 3, and row 2, number 3, going left to right. Though that's about 80% of the success of your program here. You just implement that with the right questions, and you're going to get great information back. So when you're running stay interviews, again, if it's confidential, that's better. But if not, you just have to have a great relationship with them and hope they open up. You want it to be somewhat casual. you don't want to sound too you don't want to sound too formal. It's casual. It's a friendly conversation about how we can make things better, or what's bothering them, or how to make us the greatest company in the world. And I can't stress enough, you really want to allow for the interviews to move fluidly and openly. You need to take it where it goes. I never would have found out, or we never would have found out about headhunters killing that construction company if we had not asked ongoing follow-up questions to what's going on. And of course, you want to express your gratitude for their time and their input. And really important is you need follow-up procedures and plans in place. In other words, if you do these stay interviews with 5 employees, 10 employees, or 50, and nothing happens, and there are serious or deep concerns or any concerns, and they never hear anything back and they don't see anything change, you've done yourself a disservice and made things probably worse. I would be remiss, we're the sponsors of this training, but to let you know that we do conduct stay interview programs for clients, for members of the People First companies. So everything you've just seen, we will do if you like. We don't do it free, but it's sometimes you just don't have time or resources to do this, and the value is just immense. I don't really need to tell you the cost of turnover, but they have estimated it at a year's salary for certain levels, and up to 213% for C-level. That's huge. So let's say you've got a $100,000 employee or an $80,000. It costs you $80,000 to $100,000 in all the components that make up cost to replace them. Not just the recruiting and the training, but the lost revenue and opportunities, the lost loyalties, the loss of momentum in your company, all those kind of things. If you can reduce your turnover, you will. It's probably the number one helpful thing to a company profitability and health. If you were to have us do it, just so you know, just take a second. We charge a one-time fee of $3,500 to start. That takes care of the interview process and reporting back. There's also a $150 individual employee. For each individual employee interviewed, we charge $150, or we can do it in groups, which can be very interesting. Those dynamics. If you have major issues, I don't suggest groups. But if you think you're in a pretty healthy situation, we're just looking for sales ideas and that stuff, groups, not bad. So you bit of a discount to do it as a group. Also, if you are a gold member with the People First companies, then you get $1,000 off of that fee. So it's $2,500, not $3,500 to start. And if you think about it, that's very competitive, by the way. If you look at other companies that do stay interviews, very competitive. And most other companies just send surveys. They don't do individual discussions with your employees. And if you wanted to become a member and get that discount, or have a stay interview done, or just provide your public with the knowledge that you are a People First company, there's 3 levels. Bronze is $49 a month, or about $497 annually. What that does is give you the right to use the logo. You see the logo in the bottom right of your screen, and that logo tells people that you are a company that puts your people first, that your purpose is greater than profit, and that you're flexible with your employees. And basically, it's a great recruiting tool. When people see that, they're more than likely to contact you over other companies. It's also a good sales tool because People First members look to other People First members to buy their things when they can. So the bronze just gives you the logo. That's it. The silver, which I would recommend to all of you, is $99 a month, a little less than $1,000 annually. But that gives you the logo to display on your website, all your digital platforms, your recruiting. You also get your company listed in our national and local member directory so other members can find you, consumers can find you. And you get access to all the People First company training and educational materials like this. So in the future, we won't do these publicly as often, but it goes into much further detail. You will have these slides available in your dashboard, as well as a training guide. We're also available for consultations. Gold membership is our highest membership. You get everything we just talked about with silver. Plus, you get a $1,000 discount on any of our services. So if you're really thinking about us doing this for you, and we'd love to, then this is the membership level for you, because you get $1,000 off. The membership's $11.97. Basically makes everything free. You also get a discount on any consulting fees. We do alignment meetings, which are normally $500, so you get discounts on that too. And you get to use the logo. This logo is very impressive and helps you recruit and hopefully retain people as well. Right now we do, but wait, there's more. In April, we have a membership promotion for you who listen to the webinars and training. Basically, our silver membership, which is normally $99 a month, is now $49 a month, 50% off. And you get that by using, when you join on our site, use Charter Silver M as a promo code. You want to write that down if you have any interest, because this is your last chance to see that. You can always email me and I'd give it to you, or your business development manager. Or you can do a one-time annual payment, which is normally almost $1,000. Now it's $399 for the year. That's a huge savings. That gives you the logo, the membership directory, as well as access in your dashboard to the training and the website and the detailed training of the things we do. And we talk about all sorts of subjects. We're going to talk about how to sell more in this economic environment. We're going to talk about software, what companies are using for software in the sales environment, the finance environment. We're going to talk about financial opportunities, how to make your company more. We want healthy members. We want to bring in experts who can help you with that. So the gold membership at $4.99, you use Charter Gold Y, and that's your promo code to put in the Join Me as you join, and that gives you 58% off, $500 instead of $1,200, and it includes a $1,000 discount. So if you were going to do a stay interview, this is your program. You give us $4.99, we give you $1,000. You would do that. I would do that all day, and I hope you do too. So just for a second here, you have, if you want the monthly promo of $49 with silver, it's Charter Silver M. If you want the annual, it's $399, 60% off, and it's Charter Silver Y. Gold does not have a monthly membership, but if you want the annual, which is normally almost $1,200, it's $499 with this promo code and gives you a $1,000 discount and everything else that silver has. That's Charter Gold Y. And again, if you didn't have time to write those down, just email me or call us. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm Mike Bays. You can reach our company via email at info@peoplecomefirst.com. The actual website, you can just Google if you like People First Companies and it comes up first. But it is peoplefirstcompanies spelled out.net. We'd love to see you there. Spend some time with us. And you can call us at 866-544-7152. And just pick sales extension and we will respond to you. You also probably have been contacted by our business development managers. You can respond to them via their emails or their phone numbers as well. Before I go, I really want to thank you for your time. And hopefully this has been of some value. I'd love to hear back from you if it was, or any suggestions you have. I'd also love to see you sign up as members. Just go to that website, use that promo code, and get started. And I'm hoping all you have a great week and that we spend more time together soon.